Cool.
So, hello everyone. My name is Sean Gad. I'm one of the organizers of GFNY Mexico. And today we're going to speak with Jorge Escames, who is a good friend of the GFNY family, but also an extremely devoted and avid cyclist who dedicates a lot of time training, a lot of time racing, and also has a full-blown career as a CEO in a very prominent and successful hydration company, who's also obviously very busy with his family, his beautiful children and wife, but still manages to make a lot of time for not only racing and developing and building his cycling career, but traveling all over the world and participating in all the GFNY races around the world, and amongst other events that I know that he's done, such as Route, and pretty much any competitive race where he feels like he'll have a challenge up against him. That's where you'll see Jorge. So Jorge, tell us first how you got into cycling, what got you attracted to it, and when was your first GFNY race, and how did that begin?
Sure, Sean. First of all, thank you very much for having me. It's a great pleasure to talk to you and to all the GFNY family. I'm 47 years old, and I started, all my life I've loved cycling. I used to ride BMX and freestyle, but when I was 13, my father gave me my first road bike as a birthday present. And I got hooked on the road bike because that was the first time I entered a race. So I raced here in Monterrey, and the race was pretty cool. And my passion started right away. And I've been riding bicycles ever since. I stopped for some years because I switched sports. I went from cycling to motorcycles, and I also started racing motorcycles, but I came back because my true love was cycling.
You've always been on two wheels, I guess you could say.
That's right. Two wheels is my passion, especially cycling. I do road and mountain bike, a little bit more road, but I also love mountain bike.
So you're racing a lot. When did you start to get into the racing scene and become really competitive?
When I was a junior, I had the opportunity to be part of the Mexican national team. Then I used to race a track and road, and then I was invited into the mountain bike scene, and I got hooked. I was very hooked at the beginning with mountain biking. I left road cycling, and I had the opportunity to once again be part of the Mexican national team, and I started competing in mountain biking. I had the opportunity to go to a world championship, but then I decided that I had to focus more on my studies, and then focus more on my professional career, more than in the cycling career. And cycling became more of a hobby, not
for most people. It's cycling. Pro cyclists, as we know, they don't make a ton of money, and the majority of amazing racers or great racers actually have a full-time job like yourself, but are still able to train, long hours on the saddle, and still be competitive and still hold a full-time job. And like you were supporting a family and everything at the same time, and still being able to race and not only race, but to get podium positions. You've been in pretty much almost every, I believe, except for one GFNY Mexico race, the first Cozumel you told me, but every other race you've managed to get podium position, which is pretty amazing. We have racers that they'll win a podium here and there, and maybe get top 10% in their age group, but to always be on the podium, I know that's always your biggest mission, and it seems like you've definitely accomplished that mission every time you've raced the GFNY Mexico race. How do you know what's your training schedule like? How do you like? Let's say, for example, you have GFNY Cozumel in like 8 months from now. How do you train knowing what your races are going to be for the future?
Fortunately, I've been able to work with a U.S. coach for more than a year and a half, and he has helped me a lot. I met this guy through Training Peaks, and basically, what we've been doing is, as you said before, I have a full-time job, and my time to train in the weekdays, it's very limited. So what I do, Sean, is a lot of intensity, but in short periods of time. So intensity, rest, intensity, and then I take advantage of the weekends when I'm not racing to do a little bit longer rides.
What kind of like 2-minute intervals, 3-minute intervals? Like what type of intervals are you doing?
It all depends on the race. For instance, you mentioned a route, or even last year, GFNY New York, which is pretty intense. Well, every race is super intense, but this guy, I train a lot of sweet spot training, and then right before the race, we do more short intervals to get faster.
Right.
So he builds it up depending on the race, and it has helped a lot.
So basically, you're doing intensive rides during the week, like what, like an hour and a half ride, something like that, usually?
An hour and a half most, at the most. Normally, it's an hour 15.
Sweet
like
spot.
the first, and a lot of indoor training. So now with all this COVID-19 going on, for me, it's almost business as usual.
Oh, you're lucky, because everyone is trying to get into this business now, and it's, for me, I'm riding outdoors all the time, and to be riding indoors right now, it's like, you can sweat a lot outdoors and you don't really notice it, but when you're indoors, you notice how much you're sweating very quickly.
Yeah, it's incredible, the sweat, but well, we have to put some big fans.
Yeah, a lot of fans, and it's enjoyable. I love it. Where it's, I have rollers. I am usually on the rollers. I have the Wahoo kicker that I got last year. Actually, I started to use it. But living now in Cozumel, it's, between the two, I always want to be out on the road, but now it's like you have no choice. You have to ride indoors. So you're making the most out of it, and you're able to enjoy a lot. There's a lot of platforms out there and group rides and things like that. GFNY we're going to be announcing some cool rides that you're going to be able to do on one of those platforms.
Nice.
But for me, what's really like impressive with you, I have to say, is your dedication to winning. It's the win-win attitude, the hunger for, I don't want to be second, I want to be first, and not, I won't accept anything less. And I know that, I remember the first races where I first got to know you, and we would be by the podium waiting to get the official results. And you would always be like right there, like, Sean, how did I do? Hungry to know, because, you didn't come here for a leisurely event, that's the cool thing with GFNY, because you have a lot of people who are just like, yeah, I'm going to come and I'm going to do my best. But no matter what, I'll enjoy myself. And then you have those that want to get like the top 10%. And then those like you who only came for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to win. And it's impressive to see that mentality. Like, let's dig in your head a little bit and tell me, like, what goes through your mind when you're racing, like when you're on the race course. Let's start from, let's say, like right before the race starts. What's how do you tick? How does Jorge tick?
I've been racing for quite a long time, and it's amazing that I'm 47 years old, and before a race, I cannot go to bed. I still have problems sleeping. Well, actually, I go to bed real easy, but I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I cannot go back to sleep. So this is something even my wife laughs about it because she knows that it's going on. So when she wakes up the day before the race, she told me, "How do you sleep?" And I tell her, 4 hours. And she said, "Oh, that's good. You did half an hour more than last time, no?" So yes, I get real pumped before the races, and it's basically because I put a lot of time and discipline for them. Me, obviously, to be in the front, very very important. And yeah, I love GFNY races, especially because you don't know against who you're racing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people there that you never. Well, there's a lot of people I know that I've been racing with them for a very long time. But there are a lot of newcomers, especially younger guys that you don't know if they are fast. So that makes GFNY races especially tough because you have to be always going with the attack, going in the front, because you never know when it's gonna be the right time, the right break.
Right. Which attack to follow, which attack to let go.
That's right. And well, you mentioned the first GFNY in Mexico City, and for me, those two races were very good, very nice, very challenging. The altitude really played a role, especially at the beginning. So in both of those races, I had to come from behind. So it was real nice.
Are you doing any deals on the road, with certain groups to kind of work together and to help each other to get to the finish line, and then from there, I guess you guys just battle it out and see who wins, or is it every man for himself? Like, are you planning those things?
Yeah, it's kind of strange in GFNY because in many of the GFNYs I participated, we've also done very good in the team classification. For instance,
that's right,
yeah, in New York 2 years ago we won. We won the team classification, but it was Lemus, it was this guy from South Africa, and Ricardo Pichetta from Italy, and myself. And we raced as a team, or we entered the race as a team, but in the race everybody was for himself. Everybody was trying to do good. It's very interesting. It's very nice. I don't know if everybody's wearing the same jersey, so it's more difficult to race as a team. But GFNY races are great and lots of fun. But yes, we do race as a team, especially in the local races where you know everybody and everybody goes. For instance, GFNY New York, not everybody has the opportunity to go. But if you compare that to GFNY Monterrey, you're going to have more people that you know, obviously, because we're from here, and it's more easy to work as a team.
What would you say was your toughest GFNY that you've done from all the years that you've raced GFNY?
I think GFNY New York 2019.
Last year.
Yeah, last year was real tough. I don't know if it was because of the $10,000 bonus you guys put in.
That's right. Under 4 hours, yeah.
Yeah. I came up early to the bridge, but not as early as I should have entered the corral. So I was at the end. And when the race started, I was very behind. So I had to
burn matches.
Yeah, I had to burn a lot of matches to get to the front. And when we went to Bear Mountain, I think that cost me a lot. So then I had to once again come from behind. But that was real tough. That was a real fast
That
race.
happened to Limos, I think. I don't know if it was last year also or 2 years ago,
Two
where
years ago, yeah.
he woke up late. He started all the way in the back, where he wasn't even on the bridge yet. That's how far back he was. And he caught everyone. It took him about a half hour to catch up to everyone. But imagine going through like 5,000-6,000 riders until you catch the front group. So
It was that year was amazing because that's precisely the year that we entered as a team, and it was Ricardo and myself were in the front, and hey, where's Lemus? And the other guy, this guy from South Africa, Dan. Dan.
Yeah. From Namibia.
Yeah. He went to the Olympics, and we were always asking, where are these guys? Because we were not able to see them.
Yeah.
And suddenly they appeared, and I go, hey Lemus, ¿qué onda? ¿Dónde estabas? And this guy tells me, it took me half an hour.
That was our fault actually, because the night before we went to have sushi, and yeah, we didn't drink or anything, but we kind of were just hanging out, and no one noticed the time. And I think that year I was with Raul also, and Raul came with us. But Raul he's a tough guy. Like, we got there late also, but Raul just pushed his way all the way to the front. He told everyone, get out of my way, and everyone listened, and we got to the front. But Picata, he flatted that year also, no, last year. That was in Cozumel that he flatted.
Okay, yeah.
He flatted in Cozumel.
Well, I was forgetting. Well, every GFNY is a tough race.
Yeah, because you have so many different countries, and like you said, you don't know who these people are because they're from outside of the country. So it's like, obviously you have always a good field of Colombians that come, and the more races that we have in Latin America, we're seeing a lot of talented riders from like Argentina and Costa Rica I know a bunch of great riders in Cozumel that they won their age groups. So it's there's the popularity now, I guess you could say, in Latin America with cycling. It's huge. It's incredible. I don't know if I could compare it to Europe right now, but I would say it's like on par with Europe. I mean, obviously, especially Colombia, where it's like there's nothing more important than cycling there. But I see Mexico as having that thirst and hunger for cycling as well. So and it comes from people like yourself that are in love with the sport, are in love with everything that comes with it, the suffering, the pain. These are things that as cyclists I don't know why we put ourselves through it, but we enjoy it, and we go back every day for more and more and to suffer more and more, because I guess we want to see what we can put our body through. Does that impress you? Like when are you still making PRs, like personal records, through the year now? Are you monitoring that?
Yeah, I'm definitely monitoring that, and that's something that I'm very happy about, because like I was telling you before, that I've been working for almost a year and a half with my coach, and even though I'm getting older, I think I'm faster. Well, not I think I'm faster than before, because I'm watching my times drop now with all the technology, the Strava and the Training Peaks. I can see that I'm pushing more watts, and even with the time with the segments.
What if I can ask, if it's not a secret, what's your FTP?
Right now it's 317.
Wow. And let's say for like the last year's race in New York, what was your average for the whole race?
For the whole race, it was pretty damn high. I don't remember right now, but it was over 250.
Wow.
Yeah, it was over 250. Yeah.
And because what would you say was a race that that you felt like that you left and you said to yourself, I could have given more? Or do you say that to yourself after your races, or do you leave in the end satisfied no matter what happens?
No, I always give my all. But maybe at the end of the race, I sometimes think I could do something different. That if I would have gone with this break, or I wouldn't go so fast at the beginning. For instance, a very good example of that is the second GFNY in Mexico City.
Mhm.
Uh, we started real fast, and when we went after Santa Fe,
Mhm.
after going through a tunnel, I couldn't breathe. I was
Wow.
like, yeah. So
Wow.
I it was we only had about 15K of racing, and I was almost done. So I had to slow down a lot, and then I started picking up, and then at the end it was okay. But I remember very good that race. I said I would it would be very good if I had started slower.
You have to be careful not to redline too early, otherwise you can even
Yeah,
jeopardize not finishing.
that's
How does
right.
it how does it help with with your family? I know like your wife and your kids are your biggest fans and supporters. I see that all the time on social media. How 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 does their role uh, what is their role in helping you in these races, and how do they help participate and motivate? And because family, it's a big thing, if your wife doesn't support you and tells you you need to do this and you need to do that, and she's not giving you the time to go out and train and all of that, it's tough for some people, and then you have others that are like, yeah, no, take your time, do what you need to do, I'll take care of the kids, and then you take care of them after when you get home. How does that work with your family? What kind of schedules do you build, and things like that?
I feel very fortunate for my wife. She's she's my biggest cheerleader, my number one cheerleader. I think something that is very positive is that when she when we were introduced, I was like this. So for some of my friends, I know that they didn't used to ride, and suddenly they start riding, and they want to go, time for the bikes, and their wives are not used to it. So
Mhm.
there were no secret agendas when we met.
She knew what she was getting into.
That's right. But even though she, it's more than that, because she doesn't only let me train and let me race, but she's with me all the time. Um, she goes with me to every race, and she supports me. She wakes up very early in the morning. For instance, for GFNY Cozumel, instead of just going to the finish, she'll go with me to the start, and she'll be right there beside me, and then we take off, and she stays there in the village, and she watches me go by one time, and then at the end,
Yeah.
and then she stays with me until the ceremony finishes, and she's very happy. And I think my kids have learned from that, and they really like cycling. Um, they know all the riders, and they like the local riders. My friend, they look up to them, so they have fun going to the race. They like the whole
So
team.
they're beginning to race also now. They're gonna start, or
They've raced a couple of races, but I'm not pushing hard. If they want to ride, I'll take them riding. But they
nice.
also like soccer, basketball.
Yeah.
My girl likes volleyball. So I think they
They're
right
all
now,
athletes.
yeah, they like sports. So
Cool.
any sport they want to do, I will always be there supporting.
Very nice. That's the beauty of it. It's that end of the day, it's a healthy sport, and to share it with your family, and for them to see and be by your side during all your achievements, and especially being on the podium and things, and bringing your children on the podium with you. There's no better feeling, I would believe. It's something that a lot of us riders, like, I would love to bring my son onto a podium with me, or my daughter, and it teaches them that hard work does pay off, and things like that, because I'm sure your kids and your family see the amount of not only hours, but the pain that you go through to get to that podium. You know, it's something that some people understand and some people don't. So
yeah, especially when training indoors.
you didn't get a front row seat.
Yeah, they pass through my pain cave and they watch me and everything okay, Dad? Because I'll be suffering as hell. So yeah, they know that if you want get good results, you have to put in the hard
pain.
work.
Yeah. How is it with work? You know, how does that? You know, you have your worries at work. Business is business at the end of the day, and you know you have good days and you have bad days at work, obviously. And you know, how does that transfer to cycling? Do you see that when you're training that it helps to kind of like a form of meditation where you don't think about work? Or do you feel sometimes that you go out and you train, but you have so much on your mind with work that, you know, you're just not focused on doing the training the way you were supposed to do it?
For me, I think it works both ways because sometimes, always when I train, I think it helps me a lot with work. The day I'm not able to train, I feel with less energy. It's amazing, but I need to take more coffee when I don't ride in the morning. But it helps me keep focused. Definitely. When I do hard training sessions, I don't think about work, but I think my brain goes blank, and I think that helps me a lot because then I'm able to focus more.
So like if you're doing an interval, basically your mind blanks out and it's finished the interval and that's it.
That's right, and I think that helps me a lot work-wise. But also sometimes when I have issues at work, when everything's not going as planned, I can go riding as well, and it's like meditation. I'm able to think clear, and I love to go riding with my friends, but I also love riding by myself. Because riding by myself helps me put my mind in order. By putting my mind in order, I'm able to put work in order as well. I'm able to prioritize and to see the opportunities more clearly.
Yeah.
So I really think cycling has helped me a lot. Some people ask me, "Hey, you don't think cycling is a distraction?" And I think it's the other way around.
I agree 100%. It's interesting, you know, because in the end of the day, it's exercise, and exercise it's a form of meditation. It's a form of releasing yourself and you know, having a great start to the day. You know, for me, I prefer riding in the mornings because that's how I like to start my day. But you know, living in Cozumel and riding around this island 10 billion times, it's you know, you go in the afternoon sometimes just because it's like a change of atmosphere, and you know, it'll just make the ride feel and seem different, even though it's the same routes. But how I don't want to keep you on the line for so long because you've really given us a lot of time. But one thing I really want to understand is the nutrition, because that's something that obviously I think is the most important part of becoming a great athlete. You know, how do you, first of all, what do you take while you're racing, and how do you go about your week? How is your diet, and what do you do to take care of that diet so that you're prepared for race day?
That's a good question, especially because I have a sweet tooth. I love desserts, but I think the key is to have everything balanced out. Some of my friends don't even drink a beer, or they don't eat. Everything is very, very, very healthy, and I tend to eat healthy. My wife takes good care of me here, but also I have my burgers, my steaks. I drink a glass of wine and my beers, but nothing in excess. Everything balanced out.
What is your sweet tooth want?
Chocolate,
Uh,
yeah, chocolate cake. But when I have a craving, I definitely I eat, but I don't overeat.
what do you eat after your races?
Uh, After the races, I eat the whole cow.
Yeah.
No, but going back to your question, in the week I eat very good. I always have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, of course, with a good snack in between. But it's very balanced. And during training, in the weekdays, it's so fast that I just have water, plain water, and then
On the bike, you just drink regular water?
yeah, because it's just for an hour 15, and then I have my breakfast. But when I go in the weekend, when it's longer rides, I definitely carry my nutrition. I started using these new products, the SIS, Science in Sport. I think you guys, well, I saw them in GFNY New York.
Yeah, we're selling them.
Okay, yeah. Well, I love those gels. I always take those gels with me. I also carry some scratch labs, some shoes. Obviously, I put Epics on my bottles, which is the company I work for, which the hydration drink. Basically, that's what I take on the long ride.
You ever prepare like food like rice cakes or any of that stuff for long rides?
Not a lot of. Sometimes some cookies, but unfortunately enough to have Atlesia supporting me. So I have all my gels, all my everything. So that's pretty awesome.
For a race like New York, how many bottles do you usually go through?
4 bottles. I remember my first GFNY New York, 4 or 5 bottles. I didn't know what to expect. My only experience had been here in Mexico, and here in Mexico you want water, you need to stop. So at the gate, I was and I had my 2 bottles on the bike and 2 extra bottles on the back. And we got to the first feeding station, and they were handing out bottles. So I went right away and I took off the bottles, and I think that's awesome.
They were handing out, so they were feeding on the fly.
They were feeding on the fly. That's right.
But we want to do that in Cozumel, I think, this year. The first 2 groups, we want to feed them on the fly.
Ooh, that's very nice, because for instance in Cozumel I always take a couple of more bottles with me. For instance, this year in Monterrey I took 3 bottles, 2 on my bike and 1 on my jersey, and if I just finished one and I gave it to some guy in the road, and I put the other ones, and I was able to pull through with the 3 bottles, but with SIS gels, which are real good, because you don't need to take water. You just take the gel, and that's it.
How many gels do you go through?
For this last GFNY in Monterrey, 3 gels. 2 normal, and at the end 1 with caffeine.
3 gels, that's it?
That's it, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For this, it was 2 water bottles and 1 bottle with Epics, and the three SIS gels.
How is it for you? Because I mean, you're from Monterrey, you live there, you race all the time over there. Chapinque is like your backyard, I assume. How is it, at GFNY Monterrey, when you hit Chapinque? Like, what type, of confidence do you have going up that mountain? And how do you tackle that mountain? And what kind of advice could you give people who will do that race next year about how to climb Chapinque? Like what from a really amazing racer, local perspective, what do you recommend about conquering Chapinque when you're racing at GFNY Monterrey?
I think definitely you need to hold your pace. You cannot overdo it, especially at the beginning, because you have two tough ramps. One is after Roberto Garzada, and the other one is right after you pass the first bridge. If you're going too hard there, you're going to suffer at the end. So I think Chipinque at the first 20% of the route, you have to take a safe space, not go red line, and then after the caseta where the guards are, I think you can you can start pushing harder because it tends to level out.
After the caseta.
After the caseta, yeah. But before the caseta, I think you have to take it a little bit easier, especially after 110 Ks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this year also the weather was very mystical, we say, because it was cloudy and the clouds were giving a kind of like mysterious atmosphere to the race.
Yeah, the photos at Chipinque are incredible. They're very nice because it looks like you say, very mystical. But I think we were also very lucky that we had no rain, and I think the weather was perfect.
Yeah, yeah, we loved it. I think it was better than even 2 years ago. I think the weather this past year, everything went well, and we're also very fortunate that we were able to have the race. We spoke about that before because of the situation in the world right now. I think GFNY Monterrey was like the one of the last races that anyone was able to have in Mexico.
Definitely.
And that's something that we're very thankful for. But I wanted to thank you for spending this hour with us. And
you're welcome,
everyone's going to really love to hear what's going on inside your mind and how you race and how you prepare to race, because one thing is hearing what pro riders and things like that do to race and prepare to race, and another is what a normal person like yourself, what does he do? Because at the end of the day, most of us are that normal person that has a job, has a family, is working 10 hours a day and training and has the hunger to be on the podium. So to hear that from you, from someone who I really feel is a rider that will connect very much with the majority of GFNY racers and any kind of avid rider in the world, and that's good to hear from you, because I think people that want to aspire to be like something that's approachable, that they can attain to, I think you fit that description perfectly, because with the hard work, with the effort, with the dedication, and with going through that pain cave, you can get there. It's not well, I wouldn't say it's not complicated and difficult. It is, but with the right mentality like yours, you can get there. So on behalf of GFNY, really thank you for taking the time, and for everyone at home also that's watching, and these days that you're all at home, and please everyone stay at home. That's the key right now. We really hope that we see you guys soon, and we hope that everyone stays safe, and most importantly, like Jorge's doing, get on your rollers, get on your trainers, ride. The great thing is you don't have to stop riding. You can ride at home, which is a lot of fun. And I mean, you're riding mostly on Zwift, you said, yeah?
Yeah. I've been riding in Swift for a couple of years, and I think the platform is great. We do group rides, we do races, and with all this situation, as you mentioned, a lot of friends of mine that didn't used to ride indoors are now getting into this, and they are loving it. And we can wait for news from you guys when you are ready to do something online.
Yes, soon we're going to make a big announcement, and we're going to be able to give everyone the satisfaction of a GFNY, a virtual GFNY Mexico event that everyone can join. And at the same time, it's fun. It's a different atmosphere, obviously, racing virtually, but it's you're connecting, which is what we love to do. In the end of the day, we want to be a part of a big group. And right now that group is online, so that's where we're going. But again, thank you very, very much, bro. It's always good to hear from you. And and we'll be in touch. And I hope I see you in Cozumel or the next GFNY, whenever that's going to be, but hopefully soon.
Of course, John, and thank you very much.